What is good, defenders? And hello from Lawndale, California, here in the beautiful South Bay. You know my voice. It's the Scarf, J.R. Liebert. And of course, sitting across the interwebs from me in anticipation of the biggest and, dare we say, most lucrative match in club history. He might be preparing for the TST next week, but he is ready to roll here on One More Sleep with Defenders of the Bank. I give you Christian Philly Philemon.
Hello to the millions.
And millions.
And of course, hello, Los Angeles. I don't know how many of y'all remember an NFL quarterback by the name of Johnny Manziel. It doesn't matter if you did or if you didn't. The only thing that we could take away from Johnny Manziel is show me the money, baby. And that's exactly what we're going to want to see this Saturday at BMO Stadium as we take Club America on for the fourth time in what is the most important match in our club's history, which we'll get into. But high stakes, big time players, big club coming back into BMO. This should be the most calm match we've ever seen at BMO.
Oh, yeah. Definitely calm once you walk into BMO. Look, this is a CONCACAF match, everybody. So what the powers that be have done, not the people at BMO Stadium, not the people that run LAFC.
Technically FIFA, Scarf.
What's that? FIFA.
Technically
FIFA. True. Technically FIFA. Is they have tried to make the most bipartisan atmosphere, the most equal atmosphere that one can for a match. And look, I'm just going to say the part that nobody wants to hear, even if it wasn't FIFA or CONCACAF trying to make it the most bipartisan atmosphere by making tickets available to both sides. I think we all know that out of the many supporters that follow football clubs in Los Angeles, Club America might just be top 1, 2, or 3 most popular teams in LA. And it is going to be an uphill battle at BMO for the black and gold to be louder than the supporters from La Monumental or anybody else in the supporting section of Club America.
Dude, we played Club America earlier in the year in a friendly, as most people know, a game in which we won, but in the grand scheme of it, it doesn't really matter. If that game is any indication as to what the next game is going to be like, it's going to be loud, and you're going to have to sit on a certain part of the stadium in order to actually feel like you're at an LAFC game. When we saw that preseason friendly, you and I were up in the broadcast booth. One day in the press box, and we heard how loud it got on the Club America side. I've never heard LAFC get booed so loud in their own home, which was wild. In fact, everything around BMO Stadium just for a friendly was wild. I was getting off the highway right where the exit is from Martin Luther King, and people were on the highway selling flags, and the traffic just to get off of the highway into the pink lot at BMO, that took me damn near 45 to 50 minutes. And this was a friendly, a game that didn't even matter. Now in a game that's high stakes, the pressure is there. The atmosphere is going to be there. Both sides are going to bring it on the pitch. Both sides are going to bring it into the stands as well. But man, for some of you LAFC casuals out there that have never experienced some international vibes, in particular, had any experience with Liga MX, y'all are going to be in for something because it's going to get wild on Saturday.
It's going to be a lot. Look, we know that the 3252 will show up and show out. The North End still reserved for the chorus of the black and gold faithful that is the 3252, which means the South End, looks like the South End Falcons might be getting kicked out of their nest for this one here, that's for sure, as La Monumental and the others supporter groups of Club America will be setting up shop. It is going to be interesting. I mean, look, I even remember back at SoFi in 2022 when LAFC lost to Club America 6-5 in penalties after a 2-2 draw in regulation time as part of that Leagues Cup showcase / money grab by Don Garber. That was a massive turnout of Club America fans. By the way, a weird bit of history between LAFC and Club America. It was after that loss to Club America, 2 days later, LAFC announces the signing of Denis Bouanga. So kind of a neat thing that came out of that loss. But look, yes, this is for a spot in the 2025 Club World Cup. 32 teams, including Inter Miami and Seattle. This is a shot to get into Group D, to not just face ES Tunis or Flamengo, but Chelsea as well. I mean, I know a lot of the Flamengo supporters right now are going, hey, we're actually better than Chelsea right now. Maybe you are. I don't know. But Chelsea is the name that everybody knows. It's going to be incredible if LAFC can take advantage of Philly, what is now our third bite at the apple to get into the Club World Cup. Look, here's what we do know, right, Philly? Club America has been one of Liga MX's best clubs, if not the best club, since 2023. I mean, they already have 16 total titles, which is more than any other Liga MX club, especially since they had gone to the short tournament. But 2023 Apertura, champions. 2024 Clausura, champions. 2024 Apertura, champions. And they did it by beating Tigres, Cruz Azul, and Monterrey, lining up all comers. First team in Liga MX history to top the standings in both the Clausura and the Apertura, and then to win them both. And then to become the first team to be tricampeones in the short tournament era. But what we get, Philly, is a bunch of pissed off supporters and a bunch of pissed off players because they didn't beat Toluca in the Clausura. So now they've got an axe to grind, and they're bringing that, hopefully not literally, to BMO Stadium.
Oh, I know some axes might quite literally be brought out, and God forbid there's anybody around BMO walking around with the Toluca kit. Toluca, for those unaware, did defeat Club America 2-0 in the second leg of the Clausura final, which just happened this past weekend. For Toluca, their 11th title and their first Liga MX title since 2010. So it's been a while since Toluca won. And all things considered, with the way Club America had been playing throughout the season, they won the Apertura. They were 10-5-2 in the Apertura. Clausura, they were chasing Toluca for the majority of the season, 10-4-3. But yes, a chip on their shoulder with an opportunity to make a couple of more bucks. There's certainly an axe to grind for the Águilas, Azul Cremas, Millonetas, whatever nickname you want to call them. We'll call them obviously Club America because that's what we know them as. But it's always going to be an interesting showdown anytime LAFC takes on a Liga MX side. And still to this day, I will never forgive Memo Ochoa for pissing off Edward Atuesta, letting Atuesta get the red card, and for that impacting us in that matchup against Tigres, where we lost, which could have been our first opportunity to go into a FIFA Club World Cup and our first chance at CONCACAF champions. So to me, I've got an axe to bury with Club America as well, and that dates back to 2020.
No, I'm with you. Look, if anybody wants to take something away from that February 11th friendly 2-1 LAFC win, their keeper, not their starting keeper that day. That was Rodolfo Cota. He will not likely be in goal for Club America. Their goal scorer, Richard Sanchez, he doesn't even play for Club America anymore. He has since left the team since that February friendly. Only 6 of the 11 who started against us that day started in that match against Toluca, which, by the way, speaks to the incredible depth that head coach Andre Jardine has. Andre Jardine, by the way, voted best coach in Liga MX over these last 2 seasons. He was formerly part of the Internacional and Gremio systems, rose through the Sao Paulo system to be the head man in 2019. All he did was win an Olympic gold medal as the coach for Brazil in the U23s, and spent a year honing his craft in Liga MX with Atlético San Luis before taking the Club America job and winning all of those finals. The neat part about what we can look at between...
You forgot to mention the fact that he's only 45 years old. He's barely older than you and I, which is insane. I mean, what a career he's already had. I mean, shoot, we're we're what, separated by barely a year. You a little more, but I mean, definitely one of the best young managers, not just in Liga MX. Yes, in Liga MX because he did win the award, but this is a guy that potentially, has something going on the global scale of things too.
Yeah, it's interesting. If European soccer ever respected North American soccer a little bit, they might be looking at this guy a little bit more. What we both do is play 34 matches in a full season. Club America going 18, 9, and 7 in their 34 matches between the regular seasons of the Apertura and Clausura. The thing that scares me, Philly, is in this last half year of the Clausura, in which they finished second, they scored 34 goals in 17 matches. You can do the math there. That's 2 a match. They gave up 10.
Yeah.
10 goals in 17 matches. I mean, look, I'm going to talk a little bit about Luis Malagon, but let me tell you, any club that scores or that just gives up 10 in 17 matches, it's not just the keeper. It's not just the back line. It is both. And Philly, as good of a back line as exists in North America, Philly's roaming away for a minute. But I do want to mention, because we're going to talk a lot about their offensive exploits. They've got 5 double-digit goal scorers on the season. But their center back pairing is ridiculous. Israel Reyes and Ramon Juarez, both 25 and 24 years old. Israel Reyes almost never comes off the pitch. He is a beast in the middle. And his mate, Ramon Juarez, is just as good. An athletic young pair of center backs who cause all kinds of problems and who were both recently, along with Luis Malagon and Henry Martin, both called in to Mexico's national team. These center backs are as good as it gets. You want to talk about depth? 11 field players with more than 2,000 minutes, 3 with over 3,400 minutes. We'll talk about their 5 double-digit goal scorers in a minute as well.
Sorry about that. I think I accidentally knocked something over. You talked about, yes, everything you said, 100%. You're talking about, they only conceded 10 goals, and yet they still finished in second place within the Clausura. Even if you go back prior to that, I mean, dude, this isn't a team that loses very often. This isn't a team that concedes very often, whether it had been the last Clausura or the previous Apertura. Club America is a club that... Club America is a club. Way to go. This is a team that's difficult, makes life difficult for the opposition. They love to attack, and I'm not going to go too much into that because it's going to be part of our keys to the game. But a fearsome back line, a talented keeper, fantastic midfielders, great forwards, a player that we know very well, who's actually competing very well for Club America. Too bad he didn't have anything to give to us because he clearly saved it for going south to the border. Obviously, we're talking about the Scarf's favorite player, Brian. Oh, Brian. But, man, this is not going to be an easy match. This ultimately, this could be not only our most important match of the year, but this could be effectively the best game that we play because the stakes are so much higher than anything else that I do believe this team is going to participate in this season. Getting into the FIFA Club World Cup, and even coming out of the group stage, if we even get that lucky, to me matters more than obviously doing anything in regards to competing for the Supporters' Shield, which honestly could go by way of Vancouver with the way Brian White's playing, or even competing for MLS Cup. I think LAFC is not a team that's going to be long for the postseason, so this is where it really matters for us, in my humble opinion.
Little shots fired there by Philly early on in this campaign here. I like it. Look, here's the crazy part. What makes Club America so good is their incredible depth, right? I mean, they are so deep at so many positions. One of the most dangerous strikers in CONCACAF is a player by the name of Victor Davila. Victor Davila plays for Club America, has scored 8 goals for them on the season, and isn't even in their top 5 goal scorers on the campaign. I mean, the players that they have, the depth that they have. Philly's going to talk about their incredible center midfielder in a little bit. But Alex Zendejas, U.S. men's national team darling, Mexico's still trying to steal him away. 12 goals, 12 assists. An electric winger. Henry Martin, their longtime captain, as good as it gets. plays for the Mexican national team, 11 goals, 9 assists. Rodrigo Aguirre, 11 goals, straight line 9, the likes of which Nathan Ordaz wishes that he will become someday. You mentioned my old pal, Brian Rodriguez, 10 goals, 9 assists, and I don't want to talk about him anymore. Philly's going to talk to you about another center midfielder who's incredible. By the way, Jonathan Dos Santos is still there playing for them. I mean, he still racks up good minutes. There's huge names up and down. But Philly, do you know the massive other LAFC connection with this club? It all depends on how far, and it's got to be pretty far, you scroll down their season statistics this year. How about player number 188 on the back of his kit? Player number 188 played a total of 77 minutes in 2 matches as a left winger. How about Carlos Vela's nephew, Cristo Vela, 20 years old? Now, look, he's not going to play in this match. He's part of the U23s for Club America. In fact, if he even is in the building for this match, I would be pretty shocked. But Carlos Vela's 20-year-old nephew wears number 188 for Club America, saw action in 2 matches and played 77 minutes. That's how deep this Club America roster really goes.
Wow, I hope you might have just jinxed us right now because, we're going to obviously talk about Carlos Vela on the next pod. There will be Carlos Vela's night in September.
Yeah.
So we'll have plenty to talk about that. But yeah, no, I appreciate the deep dive there. That one I had no idea. So if I may, hopefully this comes through. I don't know if it came through, but I hit the applause button on the Roadcaster.
I appreciate it. I don't think it did come through, but you know what? That's okay.
That's a bummer.
Because I felt it. That was good. All right, Philly, shall we get to our players to watch, keys to the match, and score predictions, or do we want to talk about anything else with Club America before we begin?
Now, look, I mean, this is truthfully the 4th time that we're talking about Club America because this is the 4th time that we're playing them and the 2nd time within the past several months. So a lot of the people that listen to our pod are somewhat familiar with this. Obviously, there's plenty of fans of Club America. We have a lot of people that are LAFC fans that are Chivas supporters. So, of course, they were hate watching Club America. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that know a lot of things about Club America. But, yeah, I'd say let's get into our players to watch.
All right. So, for me, I think it's going to come down to which keeper has the better night. I really do. I think it's going to come down to Hugo Lloris and Luis Malagon. I think that Hugo needs to stay away from that one gaffe or maybe that one moment of indecision where he doesn't come out quite quick enough or isn't able to get both hands on a ball, or comes out a little bit late for a dive and now it leads to a rebound instead of a clearance. I don't know. But I worry that there might be that one moment in this match. And frankly, I don't see that in the way that Luis Malagon has played this season. Let's be honest. He has been incredible over a very long stretch. He has played in 46 matches in 2024-25 in all competitions for Club America. He has allowed just 41 goals and 19 clean sheets. I love Philly's got the gloves on, ready to go. He's also, by the way, been incredible for the Mexican national team. His last 5 matches for El Tri, he is 4-0-1. That is no losses in 5 matches. He's allowed just 1 goal to Panama after having played the Canadian national team twice, the U.S., Honduras, and Panama. He comes out of that 4-0-1. Just a player who I think can keep an extra ball or 2 out of the net for Club America, and that might be all the wiggle room that they need. So I think, Philly, it's going to be a battle of keepers between Hugo and Luis Malagon.
Shout out to West Coast goalkeeping. I've got some signed gloves from Hall of Famer Alan Mayer and his son Kenny Mayer. And if you don't know who they are, look up Alan Mayer. I believe he is in the National Soccer Hall of Fame in Frisco, Texas, and his son Kenny. They now work for the Kansas City Comets. I like that you're going with the goalkeepers. That's something we don't do very often here on Defenders of the Bank. And typically, you like to go for the diamonds in the rough. But I'm glad you brought out big names, because in this type of a high-stakes game, big games are going to require big players, not diamonds in the rough. It's very simple. I'm not going to get into too much as far as LAFC is concerned. We know it's going to be Denis Bouanga. Denis the Destroyer doesn't necessarily just need to have a good game. He needs to have the best game, period. Because if we're going to look to be aggressive and score goals against a team that doesn't allow very many to begin with, Denis Bouanga is going to have to be on his A game. He is our primetime player, our PTPer, baby, to steal a line from the great Dick Vitale, which, by the way, I'm happy that he's cancer-free. Denis Bouanga is going to be our game changer. It has to be it. This is the man we're going to need to rely on. Not anybody else. Denis Bouanga. For Club America, we would have to go to a man that started his youth career out at Real Madrid. That's right, Defenders. Alvaro Fidalgo began his career with Real Madrid's U19 before climbing up the ranks. He did feature one time for Real Madrid before going to Real Madrid Castilla. And then, the past several years, he has been with Club America. Throughout the 24-25 Clausura, 7 goals, 3 assists. No question, the 28-year-old is their best player from an offensive perspectives kind of aside. But it's not just that he scores goals. He also attracts a lot of defenders, meaning that anytime he gets the ball, he's going to be a problem, and he's very good at distributing the ball too. Not as good as Alex Zendejas, but still pretty good in terms of being a distributor. And so that's the guy to watch. If he's healthy, does his thing, they're going to be really tough. That's going to be a key focal point. Obviously, we could talk about Henry Martin. We could talk about Zendejas, Victor Davila, who you mentioned, Brian Rodriguez, who actually hasn't featured too poorly for Club America. But it's got to be Fidalgo, in my opinion. He, along with Zendejas, 7 goals apiece, Victor Davila as well. But I think what makes Fidalgo that much better than those two guys, you could argue Zendejas, but I'm picking the guy from Real Madrid. Done.
I love it. Look, anybody with a Real Madrid pedigree has to be standing up and accounted for. That's for sure. Look, I think this is going to be a really interesting match for LAFC on a couple of different fronts. And the first and foremost isn't going to have much to do with what happens on the pitch. But I think our boys, if they are going to get any source of inspiration and strength that comes from outside of the 11 men on that pitch and their teammates on the bench and our coaching staff, it is going to come from the 32-52. The 32-52, for as up and down of a season as LAFC has had, the one thing that they have not had to worry about in any way, shape, or form is the vocal and fervent support of the best supporters section in all of Major League Soccer. The 32-52 is going to have to carry our boys from time to time, because this is as deep of a squad as that possibly can be, which leads to my second key to the match. We have to match not their level, but their levels. There is going to come a time where they bring on fresh bodies who may be even more talented than the players that they are replacing, whether that's on the front line, the midfield, or the back line. So it is going to be up to LAFC not just to match their level of play, but to match their levels of play in all 3 phases of the night. Our midfield's going to need to step it up. Our front line is going to need to step it up. And more importantly, it is going to be a long, hard road for players like Ryan Hollingshead and Sergi Palencia on the outside, Aaron Long, and whomever he might be paired with. I'm guessing Eddie Segura in this one to start. It is going to be an interesting road for that back line, and LAFC is going to need to match their levels at several points during the match.
I agree. And hopefully for the 3252, for their sake, they're not going to have to police the North End too much. For anybody who's purchased a ticket, is going to try to slide in and pull off a black and gold jersey that looks yellow and seeing the Club America stuff. I mean, the fact that those announcements have to come out, the fact that people even argue, why can't I wear this in this section? It blows my mind. In particular, when it comes to these international games, because that kind of supporter culture, it may not be as prevalent in the United States, but it's pretty prevalent anywhere else in the world. And play by the rules, y'all. All right. So as far as my keys to the game are concerned, look, Club America is going to be a team that comes out very aggressively. They're a team that likes to go out there and attack. And so the way to prevent them from attacking is to stifle their players. And the way to do that is to control possession. LAFC does love to counterattack. But I think when you have a team like Club America that wants to go at you, and a team that is no question more talented than the vast majority of the opposition that we face over the course of a Major League Soccer season, LAFC would behoove themselves to control possession and dictate the tempo of the game. Anytime that we've gone into these big contests where we've allowed the opposition to maintain the flow, we got burned. I mean, I could go back to plenty of games. The one that comes into my mind is obviously the MLS Cup final in 2023 against the Columbus Crew. We allowed them to dictate possession, and while we were playing on our back heels, we can't do that with a team as talented as Club America. And while we're maintaining possession, we do have to limit the careless passes. There have been far too many occasions where we've seen some lazy passes from the midfield. I'm not going to name any players in particular, but you can't allow any mistakes. You can't show that there's any blood in the water when you've got players like a Henry Martin, when you've got a player like Zendejas. LAFC needs to be very cautious and very careful with the way they're controlling possession. If they can do that and without question play their best game of the season, and we know they're capable of so much more than they've given us this year, that to me is the way that we're going to dictate the outcome of this match.
It is going to take a 90-minute plus effort. We are going to have to play mistake-free football for the entire time that we are on that.
Near impossible anyway.
Right? And it's going to be tough. And look, there might be some who try to spin the story, but look, LAFC coming in with all the momentum, 8-match unbeaten streak. Stop.
Yeah, none of that crap matters now.
No, we saw our match against Carson. We saw our match against Montreal. It didn't feel like we were unbeaten in those two matches. That's for sure. And you know what? In this match, it doesn't matter if we were on an 8-game losing streak and they were on an 8-game win streak. 90 minutes for a spot in the Club World Cup is going to turn everything around for whomever plays their game. And I say all that to say, as much as both Philly and I believe, and I'll say it out loud just in case, as much as Philly and I both believe that LAFC is coming in the not just slight underdog, but the definite underdog in this match. What do they say in football? On any given Sunday, I think this Saturday is going to be that given Sunday for LAFC. I think our third bite at the cherry, as Max Bretos would say, is going to be the charm. And I think despite the way we've been playing, not because of the way we've been playing recently, but despite the way that we have been playing, I believe LAFC is going to figure out a way. And it's going to be an incredible atmosphere. It's going to be a nail biter. I don't think this match will ever be anything more than a 1-goal margin all the way through. But it's only if LAFC can play 90 minutes of the best football that they have played this season. If not, it's a wrap. Club America is going to run us out of our own building. But LAFC needs to, and I'm predicting will, play their best football of the season in a 3-2 victory. Philly, what you got?
I'm still wrapping my mind around the concept of third bite of the cherry. Now, it's not Max Bretos' original thing, because apparently this phrase was used in a book by Emma Blair. But what kind of moron needs to take 3 bites at a cherry?
Hey, listen,
I'm just thinking
listen.
about this. I mean, it would be something. I don't know. It's just one of those idioms that makes you scratch your head. I was trying to find out like what the meaning of it. Like, for example, when you wet your whistle, where that term comes from was back in the day, everybody had a mug at the bar that had a whistle. You blow into it, that have the barkeep fill up your glass. But third bite at a cherry.
Where did
God.
that come from? Wait, back up. Where did wet your whistle? Like, I know what that means, and I've heard it obviously a bunch. Where did that come from just now?
Back at what you mean, like the term in general, or the
No,
fact that I just pulled it out of left field for this
what
conversation?
squirrel brought that to you right now?
Oh, I mean, it was just an idiom, like one of those phrases, third bite at the cherry, I'm going to wet my whistle. Just terms that just come out of, sometimes you scratch your head when you hear things, and there's got to be an understanding as to where that came from. And wet your whistle, I was just giving as an example that I knew where that one came from. So it makes sense to me. Third bite at the cherry, I was trying to find its origin point, which still kind of baffles my mind. I love cherries, but they're about this big. You have to have a mouth the size of, I don't know, a mouse. Anyway, whatever. I'm getting completely.
I think it's also a play on the size of things. Of course, it's supposed to be the third bite at an apple because apples are big, but you say a cherry and it just, it's a thing. I don't know. All right.
Yeah, but I was still trying to find the origin of it because I don't know, it just sounds dumb.
Well, here you go. Ready?
Not saying that Max Bredos is dumb. I love Max. Max is the homie, but I'm just saying like third bite of the cherry, just I don't know. Anyways, look, I will agree with you in the sense that it's going to be a game in which we're going to win by 1, but not 3-2. I think it's going to be a slugfest of a game where, truthfully, we could talk about our keys to the game all we want, but it is going to be a slugfest. The team that is going to maintain their cool is probably the team that's going to come out. But both teams are going to take stabs at one another, hopefully not literally, figuratively, certainly, but 1-2s. Left and right. I'm willing to bet we see quite a few cards in this game. And I'm going to say an over 1 as far as a red card is concerned. We are going to see a red card in the contest. Potentially towards the end, when LAFC has this thing wrapped up, we're going to get some kind of a cheap foul on one of our midfielders. I'm thinking Timothy Tillman might be the one to attract and draw the red card on somebody from Club America if we are in the driver's seat, the catbird seat, if you will. But when all is said and done, like you, I believe that this will be the best game that we play because there's no excuses. There really, really isn't. We talked about the legacy of Steve, whether you're Dolo in or Dolo out. I'm not going through that, but this is truly another opportunity to notch another amazing accolade under his belt as he rides off to the German sunset to chill before he comes back and does another coaching job again. This is a big deal. Winning the MLS Cup, the US Open Cup, a supporter shield, all that other stuff is great. What we have failed to do time and time again is secure an opportunity to go to the FIFA Club World Cup. This is, to me, truthfully, Steve's last hurrah because I don't think we're going to make a deep run in the postseason. I haven't seen enough body of work to tell me that we're going to make a deep run in the postseason. But I do think that we can be good enough once to go out there and shock everybody and make that final appearance, not final, but that appearance that we've been finally waiting for in the FIFA Club World Cup. And for the Chelsea supporters out there, guys like Slippy, I bet we better be seeing an LAFC hat because one thing that I know for certain is you can't hop on the 110 to go to Stamford Bridge, but you can do that here. So whether you're a fan of Flamengo or Tunis, Scarf, you too. If you see Gigi Buffon, you better chill. But we're going to the FIFA Club World Cup. We're going to play Chelsea, and it's going to be fun. And this is where Steve really cements his legacy. I mean, he's already cemented, but this is where he truly gets the icing on the cake, the cherry, if you will.
There you go. Another bite at the cherry for Steve. We'll see how this one goes. Look, apparently cherry is just interchangeable with apple. It's just more British people say cherry and more American people say apple. So there you go. That was another one that I just found. Look, everybody, first of all, thank you so much for joining us and for watching this. Yes, we have pre-recorded this one.
Strawberry, though. Strawberries are popular in the UK. Why? I don't know. Anyway, go on.
I like strawberries too. Look, Philly and I have a ridiculously packed weekend. Philly's in the middle of prep for TST. We're both, by the way, going to different games of the Savannah Bananas, which should be a lot of fun this weekend too. But we've got a ton of stuff going on. And so the only way that we could make this happen for you guys. And we always want to do this, of course, for every single match, including the biggest match in club history, is if we pre-recorded this tonight, which is on a Thursday for all of you guys. So thank you all so much for hanging out with us one last time before one more sleep. Yes, Philly.
The only thing I want to say is I hope people go throughout the duration of this pod thinking like, oh my God, why are these guys ignoring us? They're idiots. Why are they ignoring us? To only find out now, 35 minutes in, that we had this bad mother trucker pre-recorded. Oh, to be a fly on the wall just to gauge the temperature of the room when we obviously respond to nothing in the chat.
Well, they're not going to see us go live, right? They're going to see it as a video that we've uploaded.
Well, I would assume some would probably be enjoying their Friday evenings enough to where they don't even notice that. They just saw that Defenders of the Bank is on.
Well, and look, we're missing out on Ruben Rios right now at the bottom. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're missing out on Coog. We're missing out on everybody else that participates week in and week out with us in the chat. We love
you know what we're not missing out on?
What's that?
Oh, it's not working.
Oh. Okay. Well, silent radio's bad radio. But either way, I've got 3-2. Philly's got 2-1. You can accuse us of being homers if you want. What we're saying is you only have to be as good once as you ever were. And Philly, you and I both think they're going to do it. All right, y'all.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
Can catch us after the match, episode 363, that Sunday. And then Philly's off to TST. It's going to be an incredible week for Philly. I've got my last week of teaching of the year next week. And then a job I put off for 2 years and went right back into, a summer camp director yet again, getting right back into it. I've got 3-2. Philly's got 2-1. Hit us up in the chat. Let us know what you have. And you know how we like to end all of these.
Bye-bye.